We do need one tennis ball tonight, guys. But that's all for the extra props. And then, you know, your usual blocks, blankets, things like that. So we're gonna do a little work with the feet. We're gonna do some balance work tonight. And this is really interesting how we're gonna do a before and after. We're gonna see how when we do some little myofascial work on the feet, how it actually helps our balance. So you'll be able to see a little before and after in your practice tonight. So it's 5:30, I'm gonna get started. I think everybody's already muted, but I'm just gonna hit the mute in case anybody comes in. One second. Okay. All right. So this is my kind of Native American inspired practice this week since we don't have class next week for Thanksgiving. So I'm going to do a card draw tonight. This is the Native Spirit deck. So I'm going to pick a card, and once you guys get settled, I'm going to read the little passage from the booklet that comes with it. So I've been pulling a different card in all my classes this week. So I'm going to shuffle it up and pick a card and see what we get. So when one pops out, then that's the one we're going to do. So we got the trickster. So I'm going to read what that's all about. We'll see what that's all about in a little bit. So we're going to start with our somatic work just to kind of get into the hips, to get everything ready for working on some variations of tree pose and balance tonight in our practice. So go ahead, come on your back. I always put a blanket down for the beginning for the somatic work. So that's up to you if you want to include that. And then keep a strap nearby. We're going to use that in a little bit. Some of you might want to have blocks, but you might not. So totally up to you if you want to have some blocks for like when you're in bound angle sort of position. So I'm going to head back to the mat. All right. And just someone give me a thumbs up. Make sure you can hear me out there in Cyberland. Thank you. Okay. So our practice is inspired by a quote that I found from Crazy Horse. And Crazy Horse said, "I see a time of 7 generations when all of the colors of mankind will gather under the sacred tree of life, and the whole earth will become one circle again." So I really like that for a number of reasons. You know, for the times we're in right now, I feel like we really need unity. We need to come together as a people, as a planet. And also just the whole idea behind yoga is about unity consciousness, about how we are all connected to each other. So that is the inspiration for our practice tonight. Let's go ahead and come into a reclined bound angle. So you're going to do soles of the feet together, knees apart, and be on your back. I'm going to stay seated. And if you want, you could have something under your head. If you want, you could have your blocks under your knees. And then I'm going to look at the trickster card while you guys are getting situated and read that to you guys. So the trickster. Things are not always as they seem. Something that seems bad may in fact be good, and vice versa. Don't take everything at face value. Look beneath the surface. This card encourages you to try to find humor or gentle amusement in seemingly difficult situations. It also encourages you to have irrepressible fun. Step out of the mold. Your native spirit wants you to know, in indigenous traditions, there is a concept of the trickster. In Native American traditions, the trickster is often depicted as a wily coyote, but sometimes the trickster is a human called Heyoka. There is a light-hearted, fun aspect to the trickster, but there's also the caution to tread carefully because things are not always as they seem. Be discerning. What appears to be a good opportunity may in fact not be. The wonderful aspect of this card, choosing you, is that it offers the opportunity to step out of old, outmoded ways of perceiving yourself. The trickster allows you to see yourself in an entirely new way and asks you to step out of old routines and habits that might be keeping you stagnant. It might sound very strange, but the easiest way to activate the energy of this card is to howl like a coyote. And I can't hear you, so feel free to go ahead and do that. We did that when we did our moon class last year. If you can, it's even better to do it during the light of the full moon. And this breaks up stagnant energy and brings in fresh vitality. So that's our card for tonight. All right. So let's take a couple more breaths into your belly. And then we're going to do a little walk in place with the feet. So we're going to take the right foot. We're still in bound angle, by the way. And we're going to lift that right foot up just a few inches. And notice any changes that you might notice in that opposite leg. And then release that foot and then lift the other foot. And just go ahead and take a little walk in place here in this open hip position. We're going to add on to this. Now, the next time you lift your right foot, keep it up, and then pull the right knee as far out to the side as you can. And you'll notice that your right outer hip, outer glute area starts to engage, and you get a bigger stretch through that inner thigh. And then bring the foot back in, set it down. And then other side, lift the foot a few inches, and then take that knee out to the side. Notice any muscles that are contracting to bring that knee out to the side, and then bring it back and set it down. So go ahead now, repeat that one a few times. So adding on to that walk in place. And let's do one more round on each side. Good. And then from here, go ahead and bring those knees up. We're going to grab our belt. Oops, I forgot to get my belt. So grab a belt, and we're going to take the belt and make sure there's a loop in it. So if there's not a loop, go ahead and make a loop in your belt. If you don't have a belt, no worries. You can just do everything we're doing without the belt. And we're going to belt the right knee, around the right knee, so that you're bringing your shin bone and your thigh bone close together. And then go ahead and tighten that belt up and make sure your tail is off to your right side, because we're going to need to take that tail up and overhead. So make it good and snug around. And then we're going to take that foot down and drop it open. Okay? Your other leg, straighten it out. So now we're in tree pose on our back with this belt around the right leg. Now take that belt and reach it overhead. And hold the belt in both hands. It's going to be a little off to your right side. And we're going to pull on the belt so that we start to lift that knee. Just keep pulling it just like we did before. Bring the knee out to the side. Keep pulling on the strap, and now your foot is away from your inner thigh. You're not connected anymore. Let the foot come as far out to the right as you like. And keep walking your hands up the strap. Pull that knee up even higher, and now hold it. So some of the challenges of doing tree pose is getting this knee up nice and high, and also being able to hold that foot in place. Something here that we might not think about in tree pose is our hamstring. So in order to keep that foot up and the knee bent, we're contracting the hamstring. So here we're getting a little bit of, let's say, skill building to get this knee up a little higher and get that hamstring turned on. Also, while you're holding here, hold with both hands, pull on the strap, Now give your right outer glute a little squeeze. So you're engaging the external rotator muscle there that helps open up your inner thighs. You might notice as you squeeze that hip, the outer hip, the inner thigh gets a big stretch. And then relax it for a moment. We're going to do it one more time. Reach, pull the belt, pull that knee up a little higher, squeeze the outer glute muscle, and relax. All right, go ahead and take that belt. We're going to keep it on, bring the knee into the chest. So you can let go of it, knee into the chest, and now let's just draw some circles with that knee. So the belt's kind of keeping the shin and the thigh bone close together. And then reverse it, go the other way. We're getting some nice fluidity into your hip joint. Okay, now we'll take the belt off and just straighten that leg, both legs out, and just feel the right side versus the left side for a moment. Nice big breath into the belly. And then we'll do the other side. So go ahead and take your belt over to the left leg, belting your knee and your thigh together, or your shin and your thigh together. Tighten it up nice and snug. Make sure that belt tail is off to the left side. Your buckle is a little bit over to the left side. And then foot comes down, knee drops open. And then we're going to take the strap overhead, and you'll start to pull on the strap, and the knee's starting to start to lift. Keep pulling, so that you're letting the foot come away from your other leg out to the side. And then hold it once you feel like you've gotten as far as you can. From here, give the little squeeze to that outer glute muscle. And you might notice if one side's different than the other. Like my right side tends to fire a lot easier than my left side. My left side's just a little sleepy. And then relax for a moment. And we'll do that one more time. Pull on the strap. Let the knee come out toward the side and up toward the arm, toward the shoulder. And then squeeze that outer glute muscle. Good, release. Keep the belt on, bring the knee into the chest, but let go of it and circle. And then you can go ahead, go the other direction. All right, and then go ahead, slide that belt off, set it off to the side, both legs out for a moment, take a couple breaths. And now we're gonna slide both knees out to the side, pull the feet up and in towards your hips, and then straighten both legs back out, and do that a few rounds. Pull those knees up as high as they'll go, and slide back out. So let's go ahead and do 3 more rounds like that. Again, using those muscles that'll help bring that leg up when we do some different variations of our tree pose. One more time. So our first part of our practice can be, some of this somatic work to just warm up. Okay, now we're going to come back into a reclined tree. If you have a pillow under your head, maybe you want to take it out for this part. Bring the right leg back into like the bound angle tree pose position. And then take your arms overhead. Hold on to opposite elbows. And kind of wiggle the elbows away so you're lengthening your side body. And then from here, we're going to side bend toward the right knee. So slide your whole upper body, your rib cage, your shoulders into this side bend. And we're getting a nice stretch on that left side potentially. And then from here, release your right hand down towards your right knee and take your left arm straight up. You're still in a slight side angle there, okay? Now we're going to do a little movement. So as you inhale, reach through your left leg and left arm and slide your right hand towards your right knee. And then relax. So it's like a side bending tree on your back. Inhale, reach through the arm, the leg, slide your hand towards your knee, and relax. So we get a contraction on that right side into the area of your hip, your side ribs. One more time. And then release. Coming back to the center, guide the knee back up and straighten that leg out. And then other side, left leg comes up into your tree pose position. Take your arms overhead, hold opposite elbows. And then wiggle those elbows up a little bit, lengthen the side body. And then we come into the side bend over to the left. So walk your rib cage over, your shoulder girdle. Find that side bend. And then release your left hand down towards your left knee and right arm straight up overhead. As you inhale, reach through your right leg, right arm, and slide your left hand toward your left knee. And then relax. And we'll try that 2 more rounds. Inhale, lengthen, reach, and then relax. And 1 more time. And walk it back to the center. Guide that knee up and straighten both legs. Take a couple of breaths. So we will try some side bending trees and when we get into our flow, we're standing up. All right, interlace your palms overhead and flex both feet. Push your feet toward the wall in front of you, reach your arms toward the wall behind you, and notice if your rib cage is popping up off the floor. And instead, can you really get those back ribs to press down into the ground? We don't want to flare the rib cage. So if we flare the rib cage and we're standing up and trying to balance, it's going to throw off our center of gravity. So lengthen from your heels to your hands. Good. Now, take those hands behind the back of your head and interlace them. So you're right behind the back of your head. And then side bend to your right. And at the same time, push out through your left heel. Come back to center. Side bend to your left and push out through your right heel. So we're strengthening some side body here, some obliques. And just go side to side a few times. Last round. Okay, come back to the center, keep your hands where they are, bend your knees. So hands are still behind the back of the head. And then drop the feet open into bound angle once again. And we'll do our arch and curl movement with the bound angle legs. So inhale, arch your back away from the ground. Maybe open up through the inner leg and then exhale, curl up. And repeat. Inhale, come down and arch. Exhale, curl up. So there's a slight cat-cow action there. If you want a little more, as you curl up, lift your feet. Inhale, come down and arch. Exhale, curl up, maybe lift the feet. And let's do a few more rounds. So a little core strength can be helpful for our balance as well. If we collapse into our core and our posture is not good, it's going to be much harder to find that center of gravity. 2 more like this. Last one. All right, go ahead, relax your arms, guide your knees back up, straighten your legs, take a moment. Okay. Let's go ahead, hug the knees into the chest, maybe make some circles, some rocks. And then we'll roll to our side and come on up into a seated posture. We'll come into bound angle position. Feel free to put blocks under your knees. I'll show that just in case you guys want to have a little extra support. You can also be sitting up onto a prop, pillow, or a folded blanket. And then from here, interlace your palms again. Let's take the palms overhead. Now find two lines of energy here. So your sit bones are drawing down toward the ground and your arms are trying to touch the ceiling. So the tree grows in those two directions, down into the ground and up toward the sky. And then from here, we're going to start a side bend. Bring your right hand down and reach into a side bend. And then go ahead and go side to side at your own pace for a few rounds. So a little balance with some side bending is sort of the flavor of the practice today. One more time each side. And back to the center. Okay, from here, keep your right leg where it is. Keep your block if you want it. And extend your left leg out straight, like a Janu Shasana position. So foot is going to connect to your inner leg somewhere, wherever you can get it. And we're going to press the foot and the leg into each other. Inhale, reach your arms up. Interlace your palms again, press your palms up. And at the same time, press your left thigh into the ground and try to wiggle your rib cage up. Try to lengthen your side body. And then from here, we're going to twist toward the bent leg side. Take an inhale, sit up nice and tall. Exhale, turn a little more. And at the same time, can you keep your shoulder girdle nice and broad? So broad across your collarbones, broad across your shoulders. Inhale back to the center. And as you exhale, bring your hands on the inside of your left leg. And then we're going to draw some circles on the inside of that leg. And then reverse your circle, go the other direction. And back up through the center. And then let's go ahead and switch the legs out. So again, connect your foot to your inner thigh, press them together. Press your thigh into the ground, flex that right foot. And then inhale, reach your arms up. Interlace your palms, get nice and tall, lifting that rib cage up. Try not to pop the ribs forward. And then twist toward the bent leg side. Inhale, sit up a little taller. Exhale into your twist. Keeping the shoulders nice and open. One more breath here. On your next inhale, let's come back up through center. Reach your arms up. And then fold, bring those hands on the inside of your leg and circle. And reverse. Good, back to the center. And now both feet back into your bound angle where we started. Inhale, reach your arms up. Interlace your palms. Lengthen up tall. And this time, go ahead and hinge forward wherever you like there. You can have hands on shins, feet, or the floor. And then take a little sway right to left, just real gentle. Feel and sense into those lower back muscles. Go ahead and slide all the way back up. Use your hands, guide those knees up, and place your hands behind you onto the floor. Press into the heels of your hands and then open wide through your collarbones so the shoulders draw back. And staying here, cross your right ankle over your left knee, coming into a figure four, keeping the foot flexed. And then again, press down, open up across your collarbones. You can stay right here, or if you want a little more challenge, go ahead and take a couple rounds of reverse tabletop with the figure four. So you slide those hips forward and up, push through your heel, use that gluteal muscle to help you lift, and then release down. Let's do 2 more rounds, or just keep working on opening collarbones, lift up, and release. Good, 1 more time, lift up. Keep those shoulders open, and release it down. Set that foot down, slide the legs up. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, hinge forward for a moment. Inhale, back up. Exhale, hands behind you, bend your knees. Left ankle over the right knee, flex your foot. Push in your hands, open across your collarbones. And then if you want to do the lift up, 3 rounds. Push through your heel, lift up. And then open the collarbones as you come up and release. And 2 more rounds. Or stay where you are if you need a break. 1 more time. Good, and release the foot, slide the legs out. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, hinge and fold. Inhale, back up. Exhale, release, hands down. Okay, tabletop position. 5 rounds of your cat-cows into child's pose. So take your time. Work with your breath. That fluidity through your spine. Just go ahead and watch you're not throwing your head back. Be careful of your neck. And after 5 rounds, go ahead and move your hips back and take a brief rest off your arms. We're going to do a couple things here in tabletop position. One more breath here. And then let's go ahead and come back up into tabletop position. Spread wide through your palms and press down. And then get a sense that you're not sagging here into your back body. So without rounding your back, push through your palms and imagine your back ribs were like magnetized toward the ceiling. Get your core to turn on. And then lengthen through the back of your neck. So we're really finding as much neutral here as we can. And then we're going to try and just lift the right knee. So you're going to practice shifting your weight here. And then release the left knee, or right knee, lift your left knee. And try to go side to side very slowly without shifting your weight too much into that opposite hip. So as I shift my weight, I'm not going to lean that hip out to the side. 1 more round. Good. And then pause. So now kind of similar with the arms. We're going to shift the weight into the left palm, reach the right arm forward. Keeping that core active, release and go to your other side. So just a few rounds here, moving from one arm to the other. Practice kind of shifting your weight without losing your neutral spine, without shifting your hips to the side. One more round. Good. Okay, from here, lift your right knee out to the side. Now try to keep from leaning too much into that opposite hip. So I don't want to lean over. And then lower and lift. So we'll do a few more of those. That's it. And go slowly. It's really, tempting to go really quick and throw that leg around, but I want you to move mindfully with awareness. Good. And then switch it over to your other side. And again, try not to lean too much into that opposite hip. And that might mean you don't take that knee up as high. That's okay. Good. Last one. And release. Okay, take it back to another child's pose. Rest the arms. And then let's go ahead, slide onto the belly. Coming into a Sphinx pose. And we're gonna slide the right knee out to the side and then slide it back. Let's do that right knee a few times. Slide it out to the side, bringing that knee up toward the shoulder and slide it down. One more. Now keep it out to the side, lower down, hands by your chest and come up into a cobra with the knee to the side. Release down, bring your right hand a little forward, slide your left arm through to the right and open up into a twist. So that right knee is still out to the side, open the shoulders out, arms out to a T if you can. If that top arm is kind of floating, just let your hand rest on your hip or your rib cage. Maybe you want to even slide something under your head. Let's hold that for another breath. And then when you're ready, slide all the way back to your Sphinx pose, back to center. Okay, and then we're going to work with the other leg, slide the knee out to the side and back a few times. So working with that hip mobility and external rotation. One more. Now keep it there. Slide your hands back, lift up into a cobra. Release down and then thread your right arm through your left arm and open up into the twist. Again, if this arm's kind of hanging out in the air, you don't want to stress your front of your shoulder there, so just place your hand on your hip. And if it feels okay, you can open that arm out to a T. Take another breath here. And then release all the way back to your Sphinx pose. And then slide your hands back. One more child's pose. And then we're going to take our blanket off the mat if you have that blanket down so we can get into our standing work. So when you're ready, go ahead and clear your mat. You may want to have blocks at the top of your mat. You may or may not need them. Have your tennis ball nearby. We'll need that in a bit. And then let's go ahead and find downward facing dog. Lifting the hips up and back, and go ahead and take a few petals of the feet, shake out your head. All right. Go ahead and inhale, plank pose. Hold your plank and try not to sag your hips down. So we're keeping that nice straight line. You might want to do a little dip of your tailbone down toward the floor, keeping that core engaged. Push through your palms and then move it back to your dog. Let's try that again. Inhale, plank. Try not to sag in that lower back. Option to drop your knees if you wish. And then back to dog. Okay, next inhale, right leg up. As you exhale, knee to nose, bring that knee forward and toward your chest. And then inhale back up, leg extends. And now bring that knee out to the side. See if you could tap towards your elbow. Hold that and lift the knee nice and high. Take it back, down dog split. Release your foot down. Inhale, plank pose. Option to drop knees, lower down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, let's try that on the other side. Inhale the left leg up. Knee to nose, right through center. Good, inhale, take it straight back up. Now this time out to the side, going towards your elbow. Bring that knee forward, shift forward toward plank, hold it for a beat, and then take it back up. Good, release your foot. Leg down, inhale, plank. Lower down, inhale, cobra pose. Downward facing dog. All right, go ahead and walk it forward, top of the mat. Come into halfway lift and fold forward. Inhale all the way up, reach your arms overhead, and exhale, hands to your heart. Good, okay, let's go through a couple of sun salutations. I'm gonna adjust my camera a little bit. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, step it back. Plank pose. Lower down, knees can drop if you like. I got a little shoulder thing going on, so I'm gonna drop knees tonight. Downward facing dog. And take an inhale there. Exhale, step or jump, top of the mat. Halfway lift. Fold forward. Inhale, reach up. Hands to the heart. Okay, let's go through another cycle. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, fold forward. Halfway lift. Step it back. And lower down. Inhale, cobra or an up dog, if you like an up dog. Downward facing dog. Inhale here. Exhale, step or jump, top of the mat. Halfway lift and fold. Inhale all the way up and hands to heart. Good. Okay. Standing mountain pose, nice and tall, nice and strong. And then we're going to come onto the ball of your right foot. So we're practicing now, we're going to practice shifting that weight. And then see if you can lift your knee up. Hold it there. And then we're going to shift into a hamstring curl. Almost like a warrior three, shift forward and bring that knee up behind you. And then go ahead like a little pendulum. Come forward, lift the knee. And then shift back. Again, lift the knee. Watch the neck here. Tendency is to kink the neck as you shift forward. See if you can keep your neck in line with the rest of your spine. Last round. Good, and release. Okay, let's try that on the other side. Come onto the ball of the left foot. Weight shifts into that right leg, nice and strong. Try not to let that right hip pop out to the side, just like we did in our tabletop. We want to keep that integrity, firming that hip in, and then lift the knee up. Good, and then shift it into your warrior three, lift that thigh, and like a pendulum, you're gonna go forward and back. Now your blocks are there. If you would need them, you could also put your hands on blocks here. I forgot to mention that last side. Hard to talk while I'm doing this. So I'm not going to. One more cycle. And then release that foot down, shake it out a little bit. Okay, so another little exercise in kind of shifting the weight. We're gonna stand in our mountain pose and take the right leg back behind you and lift the leg up. At the same time, lift your opposite arm up. Hold that for a moment and then release. Okay, other side, step your foot back behind you. I know this seems pretty easy, but we're gonna make it harder in a moment. Lift your opposite arm, lift the leg, find your balance. And release. Okay, if that was pretty easy, we're gonna do it with our eyes closed. So, stand in your mountain pose. Close your eyes. Take your right leg back behind you. Keep the toe on the floor for a moment. Lift your left arm. And then if you can get your balance, let's go ahead and try to lean a little forward and lift that back leg up. And see if you can do it with your eyes closed. Way harder, right? Woo! And then release. Okay, so we'll try that on your other side. First, get nice and strong in your mountain. Close your eyes. Left leg back. Keep your toe on the floor for a moment. Right arm up. And then when you're ready, go ahead and try to lift that foot. Maybe your eyes can stay closed. It's going to be a lot more wobbly. That's okay. Try to figure it out. And release. All right. Coming back toward the top of your mat if you're not there. Come onto the ball of your right foot. Lift the right knee. From here, we're going to step back into a high lunge. Slow motion, step it all the way back, and then put a little bend in your back knee. Hook your tailbone a little forward, finding a neutral pelvis, and then interlace your palms up and overhead. Hug the inner thighs together. Get your stability. Now from here, we're going to start to shift forward. And you could keep your palms interlaced if that's okay. You could also do hands at the heart or on the hips. So depending on your center of gravity, what feels stable for you. Shift your weight into your front foot, press the heel down, and then step up and see if you can bring the knee up and bring your palms up and overhead. Good, and then release. All right, let's try that on the other side. Come onto the ball of your left foot. Bring the knee up. Step back into your high lunge. Put a bend in that back knee, hook your tailbone forward. So we lengthen the lower back and then interlace your palms overhead. Inner thighs hug into the midline. And then from here, start to shift forward, putting your weight in your front foot. Dig that heel down and see if you can rise up, bring the knee up and take the arms up and overhead. Good, and release. All right. Little break from that little flow. We're going to come into a tree pose, but we're going to start with like a kickstand because this is going to be more of a dynamic moving tree. And it's going to be a lot harder if we try to keep that foot off the ground. So we're going to stand on the right leg and just bring your heel above your ankle. Okay. Then from here, take your arms and reach them overhead. Press your heel and your ankle or your shin together. And see if you can get your standing leg outer hip muscle turned on. So we don't want to let that hip pop out to the side. From here, we're going to come into a side bend towards your bent leg side. So left hand down, reach over to the side. And then we're going to come up, arms parallel to the floor, and lift that knee out to the side. And again, like a pendulum, you're going to bring the knee down, come into the side bend. So just in that kickstand, unless you really want to try and bring that foot up, and then knee comes out to the side, lift it nice and high. And let's do that 2 more rounds, because sometimes with this one, if we think about it too much, it's going to be more challenging. So try to just kind of get into a little flow and try not to think too much. Good, release. Stand down for a moment, and then let's try that on the other side. So standing on your left leg, come into your kickstand. Inhale the arms up. Press your heel and your shin together. Firm that outer hip of the standing leg. And then side bend to your right. And then as you come up, arms parallel to the floor, lift the knee. And then again, continue. Side bend, go at your own pace. And come up. 2 more. Last one. Good, and stand down. Okay, shake it out. All right, we're gonna grab the tennis ball now. And we're gonna do a little myofascial on the feet, and we're gonna try some of the same things we just did again and see how things change once we open the feet. So this is pretty cool. I really like to use like the little spiky balls. So in-person classes this week, I've got a whole set of the spiky balls. If you have one, grab it. Otherwise, just use your tennis ball. We're gonna put it on the floor. And we're gonna roll out the right foot. So you're gonna kind of knead the foot with the ball, like you're kneading dough. Roll it across the sole of your foot. Get into the arch of the foot, press your heel into the ball, and roll. Just keep it going for a little bit longer. You really want to get a good massage in there. Okay, so when you feel like you've done enough on that foot, let's go ahead and stand down and just feel that one foot compared to the other. So I notice that when I roll the foot out, the tissue of the foot just kind of releases more into the ground. It's just not as tight, so things are feeling better, like it just feels more grounded. So let's go ahead, even out, do your other foot. So start to press and roll. Keep kneading, get into the arch, into the heel. Into the ball of the foot. If you need to, you can always hold on to a wall to do this too. I know it can be a little tricky on the balance. Okay, So let's go ahead and come off of the ball. Just set that off to the side so you don't trip over it. And then come back to the top of your mat. Okay, so we're gonna start with that eyes closed exercise and just kind of compare and contrast to when you did it before you opened your feet to now. So go ahead, take your right foot back, your left arm up, try to close your eyes, and then see if you can lift that foot. Now it's still gonna be tricky, the eyes closed, but maybe not quite so tricky. And release. Other side, take your foot behind you, arm up, close your eyes, and maybe lift that foot up. Release. Still hard for that one for me. Now we're gonna try that lunge sequence again. I almost feel like we need to roll the feet between each little thing we do here. It would probably be even more effective. But let's go ahead and try to come onto the ball of the right foot, lift that knee up, and step it back into your high lunge. Reach your arms up, interlace your palms. Lean forward, weight comes into that front heel, step forward, lift the knee, reach the arms, and release. That went much better for me this time. Let's try the other side. Come onto the ball of the foot, lift the knee, step it back. Interlace your palms overhead. Lean forward, weight comes into that front heel, step forward, lift the knee, reach the arms up, and release. Okay, coming back. Let's just do it, let's do the ball again before we do that little side bending. So let's just do a quicker version, just a couple more rolls on each foot. I don't want us to lose that opening of the foot. So we think about the myofascial release and how it releases the tissue, and it just almost like it's spreading the foot wider when we come into the ground. Go ahead and do your other foot. So I don't think we need to do quite as long since we already did it once. All right, send that ball off to the side. Come back to mountain pose. Come into kickstand, standing on your right leg. Bring your heel above your ankle. Inhale, reach the arms up. Side bend to your bent knee. And then come up, lift the knee. And again, so we'll do this maybe four or five times. And I'm feeling a big difference from when I first did this. A lot more stability. Last one. Good, and stand down, shake it out. I'll be curious to hear how it went for you guys after we finish class. Let's do our other side. Heel above the ankle. Inhale, arms up. Side bend. And lift the knee. Okay, let's try that a few rounds. Last one. Good. All right, stand down, shake it out a little bit. Come back to mountain pose. Okay, so we're gonna come back, we're gonna do a little more flow, and then we're gonna try another version of tree pose before we call it a night. So come back to the top of your mat if you're not there. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Halfway lift, you can take a vinyasa or you can go right to downward facing dog, your choice. Good, inhale your right leg up. Exhale, step through, and you're gonna come into warrior two position. Front knee over the ankle, reach your arms out to shoulder height. Okay, first press your heels down into the floor. Feel how that tones those outer hips, important muscles for our balance. And then you're gonna bring your back hand, so left hand onto your hip, and then bring your right hand down to the inside of your leg. And you're gonna use that hand to create resistance. So press your arm and your leg into each other. Pull your tailbone a little into your body, and then start to roll your chest open. You can stay here or start to slide that hand down lower. You might go to your shin, you might go to your ankle, you might go to a block, and pause. All right, press a little bit more to the pinky side of your back foot, and then press your arm and leg into each other, roll your chest open. Take your top arm, reach it up. Pull your tailbone into your body, feel those hips firm, and then take your arm over your ear. And then really reach through that top arm, get as long as you can. And then rise back up to your warrior two. Straighten your front leg, reverse triangle pose. See if you can firm that back hip. And then back to side angle with the hand inside the leg. Create that resistance. Reach that arm up and over. Good, coming up, reverse triangle, straighten the leg, reach back. And then hand on the inside of the leg, press, resist, and reach. Maybe each time you're going a little lower. One more time, reach up and back. And forward into your side angle. And to warrior two. Cartwheel your hands down, step back, downward facing dog. Stay there or go through a plank, lower down. You can also take a child's pose if you need one. Always listen to your body. Okay, inhale your left leg up. Step through, warrior two position, other side. And if you don't like this little stepping through, so this is the flow part of the somatic flow, you can step into these poses. I know everyone's at a different level with their practice, so feel free to change things up. You're at home, some of you, I can't even see you, so feel free to do that if you want to modify. Okay, back hand on the back hip, press your heels down, and then hand comes on the inside of your leg, leaning forward. Press your leg and your hand into each other. Notice how that opens up your inner leg. And then roll that top shoulder back. You can stay here or go lower, sliding that hand down. And don't feel like you gotta go lower. If you don't feel like that's good for your body, then stay up higher. Press to the pinky edge of your back foot a little bit more so we're not collapsing the ankle. And then top arm up. And take that arm, reach it over your ear into that side angle. Keep resisting the arm and the leg and rolling your chest open. Good, coming up, reverse triangle. Straighten your front leg, back hand down, reach up and back. And then flow into your side angle. Reach up and over. And we'll do a few of those. Straighten the front leg, reach it up and back. Side angle. One more time. Back to warrior two. Cartwheel your hands down, step it back, downward facing dog. Optional vinyasa if you want to take one. Let's go ahead and meet in child's pose after you finish if you want to do the vinyasa. If you don't, go right to child's pose. And take a couple of breaths there, just a lot of standing work. We're gonna finish up with another version of tree. We're gonna run out of time soon. And we're gonna take some of what we just practiced with that inner thigh resistance to deepen our tree pose a bit. So when you're ready, go ahead and come back up through down dog. And then go ahead, walk it forward, top of the mat. Halfway lift. And fold. Inhale, reach. And hands to your heart. Okay, back to mountain pose, nice and strong. Come onto the ball of your right foot. Weight comes into that left foot, especially through the heel. Keep the hip firming in. And then lift that knee up like we did before. This time, take it out to the side and your hands coming inside that leg. Let's put opposite hand on the hip. And then press the hand and the leg into each other to open up that hip. Good. Now from here, reach down, hold your ankle or your shin. By the way, you can hold a wall if you want. And try to lift that foot up nice and high. And then, we're going to place that foot into tree. So some of you are going to go inner thigh. Some of you are going to go foot to the inner shin. Some of you are going to go back to kickstand. Okay? So see what works best for you. And then press the foot and leg into each other. From here, hands to heart. Find your balance. Root into that standing leg, firm your hips. And if you want, you can take those arms and reach them up and overhead. And find those two lines of energy, rooting your foot down and reaching your arms up. Get as long as you can. One more breath. And then slowly release, arms down, foot down, shake it out. Okay, other side. Coming onto the ball of your left foot, maybe hands on hips at first, and then bring that knee up. Remember, you can hold onto a wall. Externally rotate, take that knee out to the side with your hand on the inside. And then press your hand and your leg into each other like we did in our warrior two. Good, and then reach down, grab the ankle or the shin, pull it up nice and high, and then place your foot where you like for tree. So it could be inner thigh, could be below your knee, could be back to kickstand. And then hands to your heart. We're gonna press the foot and the leg into each other for stability. Maybe take the arms and reach them up. And then rooting the leg down, reaching the arms up, get as tall as you can. Don't forget to breathe. Easy to hold our breath here. Good, release your arms, release your legs, shake it out. And we made it. So let's go ahead, inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward, step it back, down dog. Knees to the floor, child's pose. Couple breaths there. One more breath. And then from here, we'll come onto our backs, and you might wish to have something under your head. We're going to do a recline twist. So sometimes this recline twist is called twisted roots. So goes nice with our tree pose theme. Let's take the hips a little over to the right side of your mat. So you offset. And then take your right leg, drape it over your left leg, no space, and let those legs fall over to your left. And then arms out to a T. Now, if this is any strain, you can uncross the legs. You can also put support under your legs, a pillow or a bolster of some kind, or you could just be as you are. Options for the arms, you can keep them out to a T, or take that right arm straight up toward the ear, along the ear, and drape it over your head, and then turn your head in either direction. That feels good. So then we get a little more length through that right side of the body. And breathe. So I'm going to come on up and do a little reading while you guys hold this. We're going to stay here for about a minute or so. Feel free to make any adjustments to this twist that might feel good for you. So this is from a book called Braiding Sweetgrass. And I love this little message, this passage. So this is kind of a Native American inspired ecology environmental book. If you haven't read it, it's excellent. So forest ecologists hypothesize that massed fruiting is the simple outcome of an energetic equation. Make fruit only when you can afford it. That makes sense. But trees grow and accumulate calories at different rates depending on their habitats. So, like the settlers who got the fertile farmland, the fortunate ones would get rich quickly and fruit often, while their shaded neighbors would struggle and only rarely have an abundance, waiting for years to reproduce. If this were true, each tree would fruit on its own schedule, predictable by the size of its reserves of stored starch, but they don't. Read the rest on the next side. So let's take an inhale, exhale back to the center. Uncross, even out, and then shift your hips over to the left edge of your mat. Cross your left leg on top and let your legs fall over to the right. And then decide on your arm position, either out to a T, or you could drape that arm over your head, if that feels good. Back to your breath, settle into the twist. So they don't. If one tree fruits, they all fruit. There are no soloists. Not one tree in a grove, but the whole grove. Not one grove in the forest, but every grove. All across the country and across the state. The trees act not as individuals, but somehow as a collective. Exactly how they do this, we don't yet know. But what we see is the power of unity. What happens to one happens to us all. We can starve together or feast together. All flourishing is mutual. We make the grave error, if we try to separate individual well-being from the health of the whole. So I thought that really went nicely with our theme tonight, going back to the Crazy Horse quote from the beginning. I see a time of 7 generations when all the colors of mankind will gather under the sacred tree of life, and the whole earth will become one circle again. And then one more that I found said, no tree has branches so foolish as to fight amongst themselves. No tree has branches so foolish as to fight amongst themselves, unlike we humans, right? Coming back to the center, uncross, even out. And then let's go ahead and if you want to do maybe a full body stretch, a knee hug, a happy baby. So take any finishing postures here that might feel good before we come into Shavasana. So take your time when you feel ready to find your way to relaxation. If you're near a wall, you might even do some legs up the wall. After all that standing on one leg, that might feel good. Otherwise, you can just go ahead and find whatever position is comfortable using any props you might like. And we'll find some rest. So eventually finding some stillness, adding any layers you might need, make sure you're warm. And then just feeling a sense of your back body, just putting down roots into the ground. The sense of all those kind of bony landmarks, the sacrum, the shoulders, the ribs, just really settling down into the ground. You might imagine those roots growing downward. And as the roots of the trees grow down into the ground, they start to intermingle, and then it's hard to know which root belongs to which tree. Sharing those resources and nourishment they find underground. It's like all of us sharing the resources of the planet and the air that we breathe. Just feeling a sense of connection, perhaps to all the other yoga students practicing this evening together as one gathering, one circle. A connection to the ground beneath you and all that this earth provides for us. A connection to the food that we eat and all that needs to happen to bring that to our tables. Let your breath be soft. With each exhale, settle a little more, letting go of all the effort of the practice tonight. I'm going to finish with one more reading. This is from Joy Harjo, Native American poet. It's called Remember. Remember the sky that you're born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon, know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away tonight. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's and hers. Remember your father, he is your life too. Remember the earth whose skin you are, red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, the trees, animal life, who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them. Listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind, her voice. She knows the origin of the universe. Remember you are all people and all people are you. Remember you are this universe and this universe is you. Remember all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember language comes from this. Remember the dance language is, that life is. Remember. We're going to take a moment, start to come back to awareness. And just noticing the effect of this practice, this balancing practice, and just kind of letting go of, the results of this practice. Sometimes balancing, we can be hard on ourselves, but like the trickster, we have to remember just to be lighthearted and have some fun, and be playful, and not worry if we got the pose exactly right. Take your time, move a little bit, deepen your breath. And when you feel ready to come on your side, pause there for a breath or two. And no hurry, go ahead and make your way up into a seated position in your own time. And we'll sit up nice and tall. Finding those two lines of energy, sit bones anchoring down and the crown of the head rising up, creating space. And we'll bring our two palms together in front of the heart space. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, bowing into your heart. Namaste. All right, thank you so much for being here with me tonight. It was so good to see some of your faces.